Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to step the Dreamweaver program up and make it a little bit more better program. So I'm just going to go into this tab. You'll see here we've got the Dreamweaver program. Here's the function call. So we call the function called Dreamweaver. It comes up here, it calls this function, and here we have our list of rides plus the minimums at the start. At this point we are asking for input, so let's put a little bit of put a while loop around it and set it to true, so it's going to keep looping if the input isn't valid. So I want to indent this code here, and if the input, if the height isn't greater than, or let's say if the height is greater than, what's valid height? We'll say 50 centimeters, maybe equal to, I'm just thinking of who's the shortest person you can get, maybe 50 centimeters. Don't think anyone's going to be any shorter than that. And their height is less than or equal to, let's say, 300 centimeters. That's pretty tall. That's 3 meters. There's no one's gonna be that tall. Then we can break out of that loop. Okay, so we could do that, and we're checking. This is checking for boundaries. Well, it's a bad boundaries, but this is sort of merit checking. Plus, since it's an int input, we want to put everything inside a try except. So we're going to go for try, indent all this, tap it in, and if anything goes horribly wrong, anything goes except, I'm trying to remember what language I'm in, we can print out a message, error message, an error occurred during, error occurred, please enter a valid number. Okay, something like that, some sort of error message. So basically what it's going to do, they're going to enter their thing, it's going to check for merit. If it's okay within the boundaries, it will break out of this loop and carry on the rest of the code. Okay, so this is more validation checking. Okay, so that's the first thing. We want to put a try except, so if it fails on this casting, it will not break. It will do this and then repeat. If it's correct, it'll do this. What else we want to win? Maybe we want to check. I think that's fine. Should be pretty good. Anyway, you can work on that more. Now, when we run it, it's printing out each ride as we do it like this. But what we could do is we could actually make another list. So we can make a list called My Rides. Blankety blank. And let's go, these are my rides. Let's just put put a little sentence in there. So when we go around, instead of printing out this every time on the ride, we'll comment this out, and we're going to append make our own custom My Rides. So we'll go my rides are myrides.append, and we want to append the rides at I plus 1. So that's going to be the name of the ride, and it's going to append to my ride. So this is going to make its custom list of the rides this person can go on. Yeah, and this one here is just basically saying you're too short for that ride. Okay, so that's cool. And down the bottom here, underneath this one here, we can make a for loop for ride in rides, my rides. Let's go rides. For rides and rides, print out the ride. Yeah, there we go. So basically what we're doing is we're calling the function, it's adding to our list here. This here might need to be global because its scope of visibility might be out of scope, but we'll try and see if it works. Run it, save that. See what I've done? I've appended every ride that's valid, and then I'm printing out the rides at the end, what are valid, okay? That's what I'm doing. Okay, let's run it and see if it works. You always need to check. So let's go 130, see what ride's valid. Yeah, see how it says my ride's not defined. Now this is talking about scope. Now what is it meaning? Well, up here I've got my rides, but it's been declared inside the function Dreamworld. So my rides is visible, and if I can access my rides down here, I can append here. But as soon as I'm outside of this function from here to down to here, as soon as I'm in another part of the code, all of a sudden my rides it doesn't know here what my rides is. It has no idea what it is, and it's saying, what is that? It's not defined. That's called scope. Now if we want to use my rides down here, we need to declare it when we create it and all that. We need to make it visible everywhere. So we can fix it quite easily. One way to do it is, there's two ways to do it. I'll show you both ways. Okay, one way is we can go up to here and we can go global, my rides. Okay, you can do it right, say global, and so it can be used down here. Okay, that's one way. The other way, so I'll just hash that out so you can see how we could do this if you get a scope issue. The other way we can do it is before I call the Dreamworld there, I create a function called my rides, and I set it to blankety blank, and this is going to possibly fix our scope error because I've made it there, and so up here when I append to it, it might think I'm using this one. Okay, so let's see if it worked. If it didn't, we're going to have to go to the global, or we have to pass it as a parameter. So there's multiple issues, but we're going to try and see if we can fix it just simply. So I'm going to go 130, see if my rides comes up. It said, yep, it entered that, and then it printed out nothing because this one here, it said, yep, it printed out there is nothing in my rides. So it didn't pick it up here. It used a different one up here, okay? It said that one and this one are two different ones. Ooh, so it didn't work. So hence, let's go up there and uncomment global and say, yep, I want to use it everywhere in my program. So I'll save it, run it again, and you'll see that using it globally, it means everyone can see it. Will let me print out my rides. See, what is your height in centimeters? 130. These are the rides I can go on: log, flume, strata, and scary ride. So visibility or scope is kind of an important concept. Down here, my rides wasn't visible. It didn't know what it meant, what it was. It couldn't access it because I made it up here inside the function. As soon as I said, oh, let's make it global, all of a sudden it works down here as well. Okay, there you go. Hopefully that taught you a lot, and we stepped it up. The key takeaway from this lesson is I want to make a list, and I want to be able to append to that list. Okay, append to the list, and then I want to be able to print out that list later on. Okay, that's the key learning. Being able to make a list, append, add things to that list, and then later on print out that list. That's the key part of the teaching. This whole thing about scope can be avoided by creating making things global or passing parameters. So if I made another way, let's go my rides, just so you know, my rides blankety blank, and I want this one to be the same. So I'd put global, okay, So now they're both the same. These are the same. I can even pass my rides up if I want. There's heaps of ways we can do this. I can pass my list up, my blank list, and I can go up to here and I can go my rides. Yep. And I can pass it up to here and then use it here. Okay. So we can do lots of things like that, passing it up, or whichever one you find the easiest way. I think sometimes just creating it global like that solves a lot of issues. It's not the most elegant way of coding, but it does work. It did work in this case. So here's the code with all its glory. With we've got validation around our input. That's very important for a level 1 program. We are appending to a list. That's important, level 1 program, and printing out a list and a load. That's kind of important. Okay, hopefully you've learned stuff.